Headed to Paramount. It's Friday. People like to spend money on Friday. I don't know, they just get paid, or they just like to play wild, drink, have a few drinks, and get their money in. So hopefully I run good. I've never really had a poker goal. So lately I have been wanting a Bagheera B14, which is a rifle, 308. I've been wanting a distance shooting rifle for a while, and I've had my eyes on the Bagheera B14. So what I'm going to do is set a goal, and if I can win around $2,000, the base rifle is $800 to $900 depending on where you go, and the scope is around $800 to $900, maybe even $1,200 depending on the scope you choose. So I am going to, if I can win $2,000, I am going to go and buy the B14. So it could take a few sessions. It could take one session. It could take 3 sessions or 4. So I don't know. But my goal is to eventually spend some of my poker money, which I never do, and finally buy something fun for myself. The reason why I play poker, right? I normally just play poker to play poker, but now I have a goal of what I want to buy with my poker money. So hopefully I run good, and let's see how I go. Okay, I already failed recording for you guys. I sat down right away at the other table. I forgot my recording phone. I sat down with $300, and then I ran the $300 up to $1,600 really quick. Then they started another table, a Rond of Each, which is a different game. So at a different game, you're able to downsize, and I sat down with like $550. So here is the recording session from that game. First hand of the night, I have Queen 8 of spades in the cutoff position. I raise it to 12 because everyone limps to me. I never like to play limp pots because this is where I lose the most, and it is impossible to bluff on limp boards. Button calls, small blind calls, low jack calls, hijack calls. Low jack bets 15 after the flop. I call because I can improve on a rainbow board, plus it's a baby bet, and the button calls as well because I'm sure he thinks the same thing. The turn is the ace of spades, improving my hand to a gutter to the straight, or giving me 8, give me trips, or even a queen, but a queen is a little dangerous because it can put a straight out there too. Button checks, giving me a free card. River is the miracle card, the jack of hearts, giving me the nuts. Low jack folds right away. I check for a bet. Button bets 25, and I mid-raise to 50 thinking it's a chop. He snap calls. I still think it's a chop. It's not, and I win. Bomb pot in the cutoff position. On this board, I really only have a wrap on the top board. It checks around on the flop. I turn the nuts on the top board. Low jack bets 25. I call 25, and the button raises it to 50, mid raises it. Low jack calls 50, and no reason for me to get out of hand. I only have the nuts, and there's a flush draw on top, so I just call the 50. Turn on top is a blank, leaving me with the nuts, and the bottom gives me trips. Low jack checks. I bet 250. Looking for both of them to call, and we get to chop up somebody's money. Button snap calls. Low jack shows ace 10 and some other cards. I didn't really look at them, and he folds. I don't blame the fold because on one board, he's only on one board, and it can easily be a losing hand. The button shows that he has the baby straight and has nothing on the bottom board, and I get to scoop this pot. $695 win, not bad. I have pocket threes in the hijack position. Everyone limps to me, so I raise it 15. Cutoff calls, big blind calls, under the gun 1+1 calls, so why not? 5 ways to the flop with pocket threes. The flop comes out ace 9 ace, so that is not very good for my cards. Big blind bets 15, which is, we've talked about this before, but I'm not a big fan of baby bets. All the players to my right fold to me, so I go ahead and decide to raise it 45. Cutoff folds. Big blind says nice ace and folds, and I have to show this one because I haven't showed a bluff in a while. It's always nice to show when you got one through. Okay, this is a fun one. Not really sure how I got here. I believe I called the 5 in the big blind position. There was a straddle on it. I like low connectors because if the pot gets out of hand, people typically have all the big cards. The middle position raised at 20, cutoff calls, small blind calls. I raised 45 to be funny. Middle position jams for 95, cutoff calls, small blind jams for 150. I eventually call, and then the cutoff calls, thankfully, because he had me covered. He didn't look like he wanted to check it down. I flop a mini wrap, I turn a flush draw, and the river is a blank to me. I definitely lose this one, but if he potted it on the turn, all my money would have been in the middle, and I would have lost everything, all the profits for the night. Cutoff position, limp pot. I don't like to limp pots as much as I said before. I only called because I raise so much, people wait for me to raise to re-raise me. So I change it up sometimes so they have to raise their own cards. On this one, the flop comes out, Jack 9-8. Everyone checks to the button. Button bets 20. Everyone folds to me. I have a set, still in a lucky run, so I call the 20. Easy call anyways because it's a rainbow board. Anything that comes out is typically going to be close to a blank, or I can improve with a heart draw. The turn is obviously the nuts, 9. That gives me quads. The only thing that you can really do in this situation is check. He bets 25. Easy call, of course. The river is the 2 of spades. I check. He bets 80. I think I'm in a really great spot. So I think about it for a second and eventually bet 220. I choose this sizing because I want to appear weaker than I am. Hopefully he has top boat here, and he might think I have a lower boat. Hopefully that he comes over the top and I can get his whole stack. He thinks in the tank so long, I actually eventually call clock. I don't mind calling clock. I care more about seeing more cards and more hands than I do about hopefully someone eventually tank calling. And I find out most of the time whenever you call clock, people eventually call you anyways because they think that you don't want them to call. But I do it either way, behind or ahead. I just want to move on to the next hand. Anyways, he eventually folds, and I go ahead and show my quads because you have to show quads. And I felt like he folded a monster, and I don't think he even folded a monster. I think he just had a straight, and that was it. But anyways, nice hand. Next one. This one isn't anything crazy because there wasn't a lot of money, but the Boost Mobile man needs to make the vlog. He raised it 10 in the big blind position. Small blind bought the button, so he was first to act. Everyone folds to me, I call. Even the small blind folds for 6 more. Flop gives me top pair with the straight draw. He bets 20. It's an easy call. I turn the straight right away, giving me the second nuts. He goes all in for 26. I make sure the 100 sitting on the table isn't in play, and I call. River is a blank, and I scoop. He showed pocket jacks. I definitely would raise a lot more in any position in a Texas 1-2 game with pocket jacks. Last hand of the night, I raised 12 in the middle position. The under the gun position calls, low jack calls, and the flop comes out queen deuce 3. They both check to me, so I just try to take it down. I bet 30, which is the size of the pot. They both call, and you can see this quickly gets out of hand. There's $126 in the middle, and I was just messing around. The turn, they both check to me again, so I fire again for 65. Under the gun calls. I am sure I'm in trouble here now. Low jack folds. He checks again, and I go to bet, and he pulls money out of the tray, I guess as like a semi-bluff or something. So I go ahead, and I'm going to bet anyways. I bet 80 on the river, and somehow I get it through, and I take down the last hand of the night. Okay, on the cash out, I am cashing out with 1665, giving me a 1365 profit. So not a bad day. Let's end with a montage of the home game.
Okay, that was a long session. I typically always have long sessions, to be honest. I don't just sit for like 2 or 3 hours. I sit for a long time. I have staying power, which I would like to say. So if I get stuck, I can normally get out of being stuck. It just takes a long time, right? That's what poker players call staying power. But anyways, I ran crazy hot as soon as I sat down. I just didn't record it. I am so lazy. I walked in, I forgot my phone in the truck, and so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna keep playing. And then I started running hot, and when you run hot as a poker player, you don't like to stop, and that's what happened. So I ran $300 up to like $1,500, and then I went over to a Round of Each table. They started a Round of Each table, which is my favorite game, where you get to play the best of both worlds. And I got invited, so then I got to downsize to a smaller stack, and then I won a few hands over there too as well, which was great. But that's the session I recorded, was the Round of Each session, and I really wish I'd recorded the Holdem session at the beginning, because it was crazy. I got some really great bluffs through, and I just got some really lucky hands too as well. So that is a very great start to buying my rifle. So that's nice. I won about $1,300. So at $1,300, that gives me about $700 to go to buy maybe the full setup, give or take 100 or two. So please hit that like and subscribe button. I am going to play again on Tuesday, and hopefully I can run up $700 or $800, and I'm going to stop. At $700 or $800, I'm gonna stop so I can go buy the rifle. I'm probably not gonna stop, but like and subscribe.